We were talking about Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, said they're going to pass the no hip drop tackle. And once again, if you're a defensive player trying to understand what you can and can't do, they are making it almost impossible. And I don't know if this factored in. Normally it does. You had Tyreek Hill, you had Mark Andrews, and you had Tony Pollard. They were all injured because of this kind of tackle. When you have notable players, marquee players that get hurt, then all of a sudden we change things. You know, when Tom Brady got hit by Pollard with Kansas City, they changed that, you know, going low at a quarterback and, knocked Brady out that year with knee surgery. The tush push, I guess, is going to stay. And I have no problem with it. I mean, it's basically, that really is what football is. It's, I'm going to do something. Let me see if you can stop it. And if you can't, that's tough. Why don't you try? Has anybody tried to replicate this? I mean, Tom Brady certainly did extremely well with quarterback sneaks, but it wasn't, it wasn't presented the way that the Eagles do it. And then Kelsey's replacement. He got a big job now. You're replacing him, and then you have to be instrumental. You have to be the lead guy in the tush push. So they're going to change the kickoff, keeping tush push, and they're getting rid of the hip drop tackle. Yes, Paul.
According to a couple of different reporters, the competition committee was unanimous on dropping the hip drop tackle. J.J. Watt has already responded. He said, quote, just fast forward to the belts with the flags on them.
Yeah, no.
Defenders have to be frustrated, though.
Absolutely. I mean, but, okay. You have to understand what defenders used to be able to do. And they kind of put themselves in this position where they were going to take your head off across the middle. They were going to use their forearm when they would rush the passer. They were using their they would hit you in the head. Like they had weapons. Or using their arms, using their bodies as weapons. They were blowing people up. That was the expression. You got to blow somebody up. Well, then after a while, the NFL is paying $1 billion in concussion lawsuit, and they're like, maybe we should make this a little safer. Maybe we should protect our biggest investments, the quarterbacks. Then all of a sudden it went crazy because now you can't land on the quarterback. Because you land on the quarterback, he's out with a broken collarbone. Now we lose one of our marquee players. I understand the business approach to this. You want to protect your biggest stars, and those are your quarterbacks. But some of your biggest stars are your defensive players as well, and you're taking away weapons from them as well. They're concerned about scoring. They want to make sure that scoring continues to be on the rise. And they've done everything they can to try to make sure that that happens. But I think you got to be careful that, we're just going to look at this and go, oh, God, you can't do anything. I don't like when JJ says, flag football. It's not. Okay, it's still a violent sport. But when you say that, I'll put skirts on the quarterback, okay, we don't need that. I just don't know if the NFL ever gets back to giving a defensive player some kind of advantage. Can't touch him 5 yards down the field. There's just so many things they've taken away from them. And that's why if I'm a defensive back, I basically hold every single play. I'm going to force you to make the game a mockery. I thought Seattle did this. The Legion of Boom. It's like, we're going to be physical. Let me see how many flags you're going to throw before it's going to become comical. And it felt like the Legion of Boom was able to play differently than most teams. Yes, Eden.
This one, I'm not usually a lot of times when something is banned, a certain type of hit, I could see why.
Yeah.
And I guess that there is a reason for this one. However, man, does it seem tough when you're just watching and you're like, how exactly are you supposed to tackle somebody then? And how are you supposed to know exactly when to let go? Because I might tackle them now. The angles change. You know what I mean? Does this seem like a tough one?
It's like you're going to slow dance somebody to the turf. Because you got to hold on and, okay, now what can I do? I can't hit you high, can't hit you low. The hip drop, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. And it's so reactionary. I just can't imagine that. I would just tackle. All right, 15 yards. All right, doing my best. But But I don't think that you can change. And you're taught a certain way. And this generation is taught a certain way. Now, I know Pete Carroll, I think, talked about, rugby style of tackling, and we could get back to actually tackling because a lot of these players, they just throw their body into you. Yes, Seton.
But I don't even know how you teach to not do this. I don't even know how you. Yeah. I get. Okay, don't aim for their head, so hit here. You can't hit people in the head anymore. I get teaching when you tackle somebody, don't land right on top of them with all your weight. You have to roll. I get how you teach that. I don't even understand how you teach this out of the game.
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, if you're an average side defensive back and you're tackling like Gronk back in the day, or Mark Andrews or George Kittle, and you wrap him and he's dragging you down the field, you cannot body slam him. That's a penalty. And if you use your weight to try to just slow him down and drop him, you have to pity pat your feet and kind of hopefully your teammates help out.
Yeah.
Like Seton said, it's hard to see how this is going to work.
Yeah, Marv.
Yeah, and we've seen this when offensive players lower their heads. The penalty is on the defensive player. Like, wait, they lowered their head.
How often does the running back get called for lowering his head? But I think, there's a rule in place, but I don't know how often that's leading with the crown of your helmet. Running backs do that all the time. It's called running with the football. Yeah, Paul.
So I'm looking at it now. It's rarely called in games, but I found about 10 instances this year where a player was fined after a game, like Amon-Ra St. Brown or different running backs, for lowering their helmet, and they've gotten fined, but the refs didn't call it in the game, and there is a rule for lowering your helmet.
Yeah.